Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to what will be yet another terrific AIIB session today. Some of you were with us in Sharm el-Sheikh just a year ago, and I had the honor of sitting on a panel with His Excellency, who is the governor from Uzbekistan. And he said, "You better come next year to Uzbekistan." I said, "You got to invite me." So delighted to be here. We're going to have a terrific panel today that looks at really the interconnectivity, not just of this region, but also across sectors. To begin, we're going to have opening remarks, welcoming remarks by Wang Zhongjing, CEO of the Multilateral Cooperation Center for Development Finance, that many of you will know as MCDF. So please join us on the stage for your welcoming remarks.
Thank you. Your Excellencies Chairman Sultan, Vice Minister Tatikov, Vice President Limitovsky, Director Babika, and Dr. Zaidi, distinguished guests, colleagues, and online participants. Welcome to the seminar on best practice for resilient cross-border connectivity in Central Asia. On behalf of the MCDF, I would like to thank the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank for hosting this seminar with us. Since the Multilateral Cooperation Center for Development Finance launched its operations in 2021 as a multilateral financial mechanism with a mandate focused on promoting high-quality connectivity infrastructure, the Central Asia is a very important focus of our work. The region has over 70 million people and expected to increase to 90 million by 2050. The landscape is diverse, and the 5 countries are highly interdependent in terms of the water, energy, and the environment. The region is strategically located at the crossroad of Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, acting as a linchpin for East-West trade and investment that is critical to sustainable development and of strategic importance to the world. Central Asian countries have made significant progress in this regard, but cross-border connectivity in this largely landlocked region remains a challenge. Taking transport as an example, although Central Asia has already had a road network of over 400,000 kilometers in length and a broad gauge rail network spanning 28,000 kilometers, still suffers missing links and facilitates connecting key economic production and consumption areas within and across the region. The region also needs a simple, transparent, digital, and harmonized border customer clearance process to shorten transit time and reduce transit cost. Building capacity of relevant functionaries and strengthening policy collaborations among countries is imperative. The encouraging news is there are both substantial opportunities and a robust political buy-in to bolster regional integration and cooperation through development of corridors. I'm thrilled that MCDF has played a role in this endeavor and has made valuable contributions. At MCDF, we work closely with international financial institutions and take a holistic approach to bridge the connectivity gap through financing project preparation, capacity building, and information sharing. We provide grants to support project scoping, initial assessment, and feasibility studies. To date, we have approved 33 projects with over $38 million grants, which is expected to mobilize $7 billion investment from IFIs and other financiers. In late 2022, MCDF, together with AIIB and the Islamic Development Bank, undertook an ambitious joint study on Central Asian connectivity. Based on its findings, in 2023, we funded an AIIB project for a diagnostic analysis to identify entry point for cross-border investment in target sectors, expected to develop a potential priority project pipeline. We prioritize our support for co-financing and joint financing between FIs and other developing country financiers, which we call new partners. In collaboration with AIIB and the African Development Bank, we have identified 6 new partners and provide a $5 million grant to help them enhance environmental social safeguard, developing green financing frameworks, and identifying green project pipelines. The underlying investment is estimated above $2 billion. In the future, we sincerely hope that we could have the first project and the first new partner in Central Asia. To stimulate new financial flows, we have co-hosted the investment facilitation event aimed at sharing project pipelines and identifying opportunities for co-financing. In late 2021, we successfully co-hosted our inaugural regional investment matching event for Central and Western Asia. A total of 25 projects were presented to the multilateral and the bilateral financiers. MCDF and its partners actively contribute to the transformation of Central Asia from a landlocked region to a land-linked one. This comprehensive approach includes the development of both physical infrastructure and the intangible element, with a focus on ensuring resilient and sustainable infrastructure investment. To achieve this, MCDF advocates for the adoption of FI standards, which have been proven in addressing economic, financial, social, and environmental risks that can impact the project performance. We built a collaboration platform where FIs, new partners, and countries can share knowledge and project information as well as build capacity. Our topics cover debt stability, climate change, environmental social safeguard, procurement, anti-corruption, and information disclosure. Our workshops and events have attracted over 3,700 participants from 86 beneficiary countries and 65 new partners. I'm pleased to announce here today that MCDF will be launching a training program in collaboration with the Carrick Institute. This program aims to provide a training on sustainable connectivity infrastructure financing for 10 Central and Western Asian countries. The program is scheduled to commence in November of this year. Another new initiative is a collection of connectivity infrastructure reports. The report will synthesize good practices on high-quality connectivity infrastructure and improve coordination between FIs, financiers, and the government involved in such projects. One of the first 2 reports will be on Central and Western Asia. Of the 13 FI members of MCDF, 7 have active operations in this region, and they have agreed to work with us on this report. So I would like to conclude by emphasizing that MCDF, as the only global infrastructure facility with a specific focus on connectivity infrastructure, will collaborate closely with the development partners and the esteemed governments of Central Asia. Our aim is to leverage synergies with existing regional cooperation and integration initiatives. We eagerly anticipate establishing long-term partnerships with Central Asia and showcasing our distinctive values. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to the successful discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Wang. What a fitting welcome and introduction to today's session. I also like that you made some news with the announcement of the new training initiative, so that is terrific. I mean, your organization is really a shining example of the power of connecting and convening and really working across borders. Thank you again for that. To begin the kind of the formal remarks of our program, I wanted to call up to the stage His Excellency Mr. Sultan Rahimzoda, Chairman of the State Committee on Investments and State Property Management and Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank Governor for Tajikistan. Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to address you in this seminar, the topic of which is very important in today's realities of global processes and is very important indeed for Central Asia region. The region which is very unique, being at the crossroad of continents, cultures, and civilizations for 1,000 years. And today, the region is a land of rich cultural heritage, great nations, and huge natural resources. Indeed, geographically, we are at the crossroad between Europe and Asia, but in the time dimensions, we are today at the crossroad of a period where we must unite our efforts and take steps to ensure long-term sustainable growth and improved living standards for the region's population ahead of those challenges the region has been facing for the last several decades. This requires increasing productivity, strengthening resilience, and expanding markets. Historically, Central Asia region has been a link between Europe and Asia, through which trade routes passed and culture and innovation spread. Today, regional integration offers the opportunity to rediscover our potential. It can promote easy movement of goods, services, capital, and people, greater market economic efficiency, and shared prosperity. Moreover, deepening ties within the region and in global market can contribute to stability and peace. Central Asia is politically important in view of current global processes. So all of us, we have been observing for the last several years how the interest of the great powers are increasing or is increasing to our region. And the format of C5+, it's a good example of how the great powers are interesting for our region. So in this context, we assess the cross-border cooperation in all directions, especially in the transport sector, as very important and necessary, since the region is located at the crossroad of Europe and Asia, as I mentioned, without access to the seaports, which provides opportunity for inexpensive transportation of goods. So we are landlocked region, which hints basically our efforts to achieve sustainable growth, sustainable development. The Central Asia countries can transform this limitation, this challenge, into opportunities for development, both in economic and social aspects, in our opinion, and cross-border connectivity can contribute to this. So we must unite our efforts to transform this challenge, this limitation, into opportunities. After the Central Asia states gained independence in the early 1990s, the countries of the region built a path of separate development, and this led to some difficulties. In 2005, UNDP released a report where assessed the economical losses of Central Asia region countries made at that time $3.75 billion USD because of the policy of self-sufficiency. And we believe that the region should develop in an integrated manner where we can have additional benefit from such a cooperation. Since the times of Soviet statehood, the region has been interconnected, both in terms of infrastructure and economy. It is gratifying that trend of meetings of the heads of states of the Central Asia region in the C5+ format has made it possible to implement priority projects for the region. And indeed, in line with this format, we have the separate format of the Central Asian Heads of State Consultative Meeting. The last meeting was recently in Astana, and that really improves now the cooperation between the countries. So transport networks such as roads, railways, and ports are important for facilitating cross-border trade. The planned construction of the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan railway represents an example of cooperation between the countries to improve connectivity and connection between East and West, supporting the region's aspirations to restore its historical role. Also, our region is very rich in terms of renewable resources of energy, in terms of water resources, and expanding cooperation in these sectors contributes to the development of regional markets, including energy markets, ensuring energy security, and creating export opportunities. The big regional projects, such as Rogun HPP in Tajikistan, Kasa Southern project transmission line connecting Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan with Afghanistan and Pakistan, Kambarata No. 1 HPP in Kyrgyzstan can help to diversify the energy mix and reduce dependence on fossil fuels. It is important to know that this could also improve the availability of water resources for all the countries of the region. In this context, I would like to separately note the importance of the Rogun project in Tajikistan with 3,600 megawatt capacity. And this project is really important since it is not just a source of clean and green energy. It is also a symbol of development and prosperity. I was part of the government team to make feasibility study of the project, and we made calculation. I mean, the contribution of this project to the region. So it will have multiple effects. Of course, first of all, it is green and clean energy. Second, it is sustainable water resources management. Third is reduction of the CO2 emissions to the atmosphere. The fourth is reduction of the risk of floods and the mitigation of droughts. And it was calculated that if the amount of energy which will be produced by Rogun project in Tajikistan will be produced based on the coal-fired hydropower plants, coal-fired power plants, the volume of emissions, CO2 emissions to the atmosphere, in terms of the coal, it will be 14 million tons per year. In case of the using fossil fuels, it will be 10 million. In case of the using natural gas, it will be 7 million tons per year. That is basically the contribution of the Rogun for our joint mission to reduce the carbon emissions to the atmosphere. And the project not only meets the country's need, but also plays an important role in ensuring energy independence and sustainability of the region. We have been observing that the demand for energy is going up every year, and such kind of project like the Rogun and the Kambarata could help us in this regard. And of course, we have been observing also a large number of projects in terms of solar and wind, renewables. And yesterday, President Mirziyoyev mentioned about this Trans-Caspian, basically lines connecting Central Asia with European countries in terms of having the market of the renewable energy exporting from Central Asia to the other regions of the world. So joint efforts to mobilize expertise and funding are essential to fully realize our potential and maintain macroeconomic stability. The importance of cross-border regional cooperation, sometimes in terms of water, we can transboundary water cooperation, also contributes to the fight against the risk of climate change, which is a key agenda for the global community. And in 2017, again, assessing the benefit of the region could receive or could have from the better regional water energy cooperation. It was assessed by the University of Adelphi jointly with the CAREC, the institution in Almaty, so that the benefit of the region will be 4.75 billion USD annually. So that would be basically the value of the good cooperation between the countries. To achieve the intended goals, the contribution of international financial institutions is highly welcome, and our development partners can provide valuable support and assistance for the development of the region. I particularly would like to thank the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank for its support to Tajikistan in the implementation of infrastructure projects aimed at the overall development of both the country and the region. And the Rogun, again, the good example how the IFIs can support the countries of the region in terms of such kind of resilient infrastructure, building resilient infrastructure for all, which is a main topic of this annual meeting of AIIB. So, distinguished participants, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I would like to note once again that facing the major challenge and the exchange of discussion today will undoubtedly give the new impetus, will help us to the development of cross-border or transboundary cooperation in all areas, and I wish all success to all of you, and indeed the meeting of AIIB here in Samarkand, and thank you very much for your attention. So enjoy your staying in beautiful Samarkand. Thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for that keynote speech. I'm going to go ahead now and call up our distinguished panelists to the stage, and we'll begin a discussion. Thank you, and a warm welcome to our panelists. And again, thank you so much for the opening remarks and the keynote speech. It sets the perfect tone for what I hope will be a really robust conversation involving panelists, really country representatives, individuals from the multilateral world, but also the private sector. So as we talk about best practices in cooperation, it's about best practices also that cross borders as well as cross sectors. To begin, I'm going to go kind of down the line and ask Your Excellency, Mr. Ruslan Tatikov, Deputy Minister of Finance and Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank. I was told to say AIIB, not AIIB, but AIIB, temporary alternate governor of the Kyrgyz Republic. First, welcome, Your Excellency. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm going to begin with a question, sort of a two-parter. One, how critical is cross-border infrastructure for the economic development of your nation, and what are the priorities and challenges for the development of such infrastructure in your country? And in answering, if you can think about the larger region, how can landlocked countries in Central Asia, like yours, and adjacent regions, leverage their position to better develop their potential?
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for invited for this panel session, for your imagination about Central Asia. These 5 countries, we under the former Soviet Union, we had some without any borders between 5 countries. Although this construction interconnected between these 5 countries. And of course, that period of time, we didn't have some borders, but we have some common tradition and cultures. And in this sense, when 1991 is broke up, Soviet Union, now we have some borders. And in this sense, the Kyrgyzstan is landlocked countries. And cross-border infrastructure plays a key role of economic development of the Kyrgyz Republic. considering our landlocked position. It enhances, transport and trade connectivity, accelerating the flow of goods and services, which is crucial for GDP growth, job creation, and the country's integration for this into the global economy is very important. And in my point of view, this is priorities for the Kyrgyz Republic for the development of the cross-border infrastructure. This is first, development of transport corridor. Why I'm pay attention for this point? Because a key priority is the development of international transport corridors such as China, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan railway, which will provide access to the market of China and the countries of South and Southeast Asia, helping diversify our trade routes. The second is, in my opinion, we have some good project between Almaty and Isykyl, but we wanted to implement this project under the PPP. Now we are negotiating the government of the Kazakhstan. Why? Because Isykyl Lake is, it's attract a lot of tourists, especially from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and other countries. That's why we want to construct this corridor between Almaty and Isykyl Lake. It means we can reduce travel time about 2 or 3 hours. The second, this is energy infrastructure. My colleague from Tajikistan, he mentioned about this development of cross-border energy projects such as Kasa 1000 power transmission line connecting Central and South Asia will boost electricity exports and strengthen energy security. And of course, in my opinion, we have some challenges for the Kyrgyz Republic. And what kind of challenges? First of all, this is financing. We're talking about construction of this project railway, China, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan. We know this is very important, like China for Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan. Now we are preparing some feasibility study. For estimation, this project will be like 5 billion. And of course, we have some other geographical complexity. Why? Because since we are the mountains country, we face challenges for the construction and maintenance infrastructure, especially during winter. Of course, we have some bureaucracy barriers, but we'll try to push all of these issues to exclude and in order to accelerate the trade and services. The development of cross-border infrastructure remains a top priority for the Kyrgyz Republic. We want to construct this project. I mean about railway. Will start the next year when we find some attracting for donors. Maybe AIIB too, because we have already talked about this issue. That's all.
Thank you. I think the interconnectivity is so critical. One of my favorite trips when I was on the board of the Asian Development Bank was the Kyrgyz to the lake. And the challenge continues. Even back then, there was a lot of discussion about connectivity and all, and so important for the region. So thank you. And indeed, those people listening, watching online, there is opportunity. We talk about one of the great things about these annual meetings is, again, people get a better sense of the opportunity that exists in a region by seeing it firsthand. I'm going to go to your left and turn to Mr. Vice President Konstantin Litimovsky, Vice President for International Clients, Region 2, and Project and Corporate Finance Global for the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. My question to you, Mr. Vice President, is what are the most important trends your organization sees here, AIIB, in cross-border infrastructure in Central Asia? And what are the opportunities and challenges in sectors such as transport, logistics, energy, and ICT, information, communications, and technology?
Thank you. Thank you, Curtis. And thank you for pronouncing my name very good. Sometimes I stumble, actually, myself, so it's okay. And I would like to, first of all, with your permission, to welcome all of you, to thank you very much for, on behalf of AIIB, as a representative at this panel, for taking your time and coming to this wonderful ancient city of Samarkand, which was the center of connectivity. And we heard a lot of speeches about the ancient Silk Road crossroads, right? In this, in our annual meeting. So many thanks for coming, for staying with us, for discussing the very important challenges and opportunities which exist in this wonderful, wonderful region. Thank you, Curtis, for asking me 100 questions in one. And with your permission, I will start with the trends which we can observe in connectivity. And of course, when starting, one would definitely look at the transport connectivity, because there is a lot of transformation going on in the region today. It is re-emerging Silk Roads again. And what I mean is that there is the reduction of the transit through the classic and active channels, to the corridors which have been established, and with the northern corridor reducing the volume and the maritime transportation facing its own challenges. There is a lot of new new ideas and new trends emerging in the region. A lot has been said in this annual meeting, and the variety of also seminars about the middle corridor. Middle corridor is emerging as the additional opportunity which has always existed, but the volumes are raising. There are new transport corridors. Ruslan mentioned the China, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan railroad, which is new idea within the scope of that region. It is not only about the transit. It's also, I think, that important to note that there is increase in cooperation between the countries. Increase in cooperation between the countries of this Central Asia, and very importantly, of these countries with China. It's been said already, and I fully agree, that this region has been the infrastructure, the transport infrastructure, as a part of Soviet Union was oriented towards West. And now there is a need for the construction of the new roads and the transport infrastructure, which is oriented quite the opposite direction. And this is also creating its own challenges. So I think that all that trends are creating the necessity for the new transportation nodes, the new logistic centers, the dry ports, and the roads, of course. So the new capital-intensive projects, which will be, the foundation of the new Silk Roads, right? So this is, I think, that the most important and big trend. In the energy sector, I would also echo Rustam that there is lots of trends. If we discuss each of them, it'll take a long time. But I would focus on the commitment of all the countries for energy transition, and that creates a necessity for not only for the increase in the renewable energy in the proportion of the energy mix in each country, but also creating the stimulus for these countries to cooperate with each other, to create a more transmission infrastructure and modernizing the existing one, which was built and which was constructed on the basis of the technologies of the previous century, and which are not effective but functioning. I would like also to mention that in the Soviet time there was the energy interconnection, energy rim within the Central Asian markets, and actually with the dispatch center in Tashkent. And I'm very glad that our colleagues from the World Bank are working on the revitalization of that and working on the studies and actually also on the specific projects which could bring it back. And this country is very, very much needed. This would also require the additional transmission infrastructure, which will be done, I very much hope, on the basis of the new technologies and with the application of the the smart grids and the modern transmission technologies. So this would be the second one. I'm also, whenever we are thinking about the trends, although it's not indirectly related to the cross-border connectivity, I would also mention the young population and the growing population. Many times, again, was mentioned that this country itself is adding 1 million babies every year. So, and the average age is unbelievable. It's less than 30 years. So this creates actually additional mobility and the urban activity among the countries, which leads to some additional connectivity requirements, I would say. So also, lastly, among the trends, I would also mention the digital transformation each of these countries are going through. And in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, the 5G is developing very well, quite rapidly, but the Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan are lagging behind and probably showing indicators which would be worse in Asia. So that also requires a lot of cooperation and new thinking about the investments into the cross-border digital connectivity as well. So that's what we see. That's what we see in AIIB as an opportunities for financing the infrastructure, obviously, as our name suggests, in financing the critical bottlenecks. But as it was also mentioned already many times, in fact, with the smaller investments in the soft infrastructure between this, in variety of modes, and electricity, transport, especially transport, these countries can achieve a lot with a small investment. But I think that is a topic for separate. Sorry for occupying this long, but it's only trends, Curtis, it's only trends. Thank you. I will also cover challenges, but let me leave the floor.
No, thank you. Listening to you, I attended several of the public seminars this day and a half, and I was struck when you talked about the Silk Road and the word Central Asia. But in one of the discussions this morning, one person said, remember that this was like the center of trade in spices, but it was also trade in ideas. And I think that's why these public seminars are so great, that, as you noted, there's even a diversity here in Central Asia, like my diversity where I'm from in Southeast Asia. It's so diverse, but the hope is that countries can work together and help lift each other up, because the region overall will benefit. So thank you for that, Adol. You also began by noting, I was busy over there practicing your name, because the first time you meet someone, you're just like, how do I say your name? Because that's what you'll remember. So likewise, I had said to Dr. May, because up here on this screen, it's not the name I have for you. You are Dr. May Ali Babikar El-Tahir, and we talked about the legacy of names, tributes to our ancestors and our cultures and our grandfathers.
Yep.
So Dr. May, welcome. You are Director, Cooperation and Capacity Development of the Department of the Islamic Development Bank. And actually, I wanted to have that same question to you. You two are our representatives from the multilateral development bank world. So I can repeat, what are the most important trends that you see now from the Islamic Development Bank as you think about cross-border infrastructure in Central Asia, and also what are the opportunities and challenges in sectors, again, such as transport, logistics, energy, and information, communications, and technology, ICT?
How would I respond after he has said all that? He just stole my ideas.
we should have agreed about what.
Well, thank you so much.
Apologies.
Thank you very much, and I'm really glad to be here. Thanks to MCDF and AIIB, the new name, for the invitation. Yes, so on the question. So just subtracting from what he said, I will add to 3 points. One is in agreement to what VP was saying on the digital technology and digital connectivity that we see in this region with all these data centers and broadband networks and so on. We see that there is advancement in this part of the world, in this Central Asia region, and we see this as a tool for economic growth and also for more integration and connectivity among them. That is one. The second is the deepening regional integration that we see that there is emphasis among the countries in Central Asia, our member countries of the Islamic Development Bank and of course of the AIIB here, is there is emphasis on working together, on working on cross-border projects, connectivity in the different aspects of connectivity, be it transport, energy, and others. The other thing is looking at our own reports in the Islamic Development Bank, the ISDB Regional Index, Regional Integration Index report, we see that the countries in the Central Asia, they have very high scores when it comes to trade and investment integration, which shows that these countries, they are having common production systems, they are having some sort of frameworks that enable them to work together and integrate when it comes to regional cooperation and integration. So this is another trend that we see here. And the third has to do with the growing interest in having regional connectivity projects, and VP spoke about the interest in climate-friendly and sustainable projects. So we see that more investment is in renewable energy, more investment in energy efficiency, and these types of interventions that we see from the request that comes to us from our member countries, that this is an area that they want to invest more in. So looking at these trends together with the digitization, with the more deepening of regional integration, even looking at us as MDBs, we are facilitating regional programs. So looking at, for example, the CARIC as a program, it is about regional integration for this region. Looking at now the ISDB, AIIB, MCDF, Central Asia Connectivity Program that we are working in together. It is about we as MDBs coming together, and we are promoting this regional cooperation and integration agenda. So all of these are trends that we see in the region, and we see that these create opportunities. So I'm answering two in one, huh? So coming to the challenges just very briefly. So with this, momentum on regional integration and connectivity, then you come to the part of the risk of duplication of efforts. So when everybody, development partners, IFIs are interested to lead this type of regional initiatives, then you are at the risk of having the application of efforts. So there is need to be more of like harmonization. Is it working? Can you hear me? Yeah. So harmonization of efforts, complementarities, and looking into the competitive advantage of the partners, because right now, like what we talked about in this program we are handling here in AISDB, AIB, and MCDF, we are looking at our competitive advantage and complementing each other in a program whereby we are trying to help the Central Asia countries to have a pipeline of bankable projects that we can have them with good quality to help the countries develop in this area. The second one, and the digital inclusion, again, would come in as a challenge because there are some less developed countries within the region whereby the digital inclusion is not that high. So we need to make sure that we invest in fiber optics networks and other things to make sure that people are connected, and also to look into the educational strategies of these countries whereby you ensure that the people, the workforce will be well equipped with the needed digitalization and digital technologies moving forward. The last challenge I would say, and we'll close with, is the capacity gaps. So the issue of capacity when it comes to preparing projects, when it comes to this regional connectivity and cross-border connectivity, that you need to ensure that you have in the right place the needed capacity within the countries to develop and implement such types of projects. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you. And you hit both the opportunities and the challenges. So thank you for that. I think, Mr. Vice President, Dr. May, you have both mentioned energy, renewables, and our last, is this not working?
Is it working?
Working? Yeah. All right. Dr. May and Mr. Vice President, you had both mentioned renewables, energy, and our last panelist this morning comes from the private sector, Dr. Jahan Zaidi. And earlier we talked about connectivity, electricity. We talked about transmissions across borders. Your company, if you could tell us a little bit about, is involved in some of it, not others, and you're also involved beyond Central Asia. As you think about, from a private sector perspective, the opportunities in this region, what are you excited about as you think about those opportunities? Feel free to talk about challenges, but what do you think about the opportunities in this region?
Sure. So, no, thank you very much for this opportunity. I think, personally, I think the connectivity starts when you bring people together and have a dialogue and create and bring those ideas together. So I would like to thanks AIIB for your opportunity for all of us to have this discussion. And I think they definitely deserve a round of applause for the way they have put this show together. It is exciting, positive vibes, and actually you feel like that you are actually connecting the dots now the dots which are available in this part of the world. Aqua Power, we are a Saudi-based company, and we are very humble and thankful for having this opportunity in this part of the world. In Central Asia, I'll talk more about Uzbekistan being the country head for here, but we are also present in Kazakhstan, actively developing renewable energy, as well as in Azerbaijan, where we are already constructing the wind farms. We recently hosted our distinguished guests from Tajikistan to show our solar panel power plant in Tashkent. And so we are seeing a lot of excitement around this renewable energy. Obviously, we are not in transmission, but we are the source where which it all starts, and we are very, very excited to have this discussion in terms of increasing the opportunities for different ranges of partnerships between the governments as well as private and partnership with the governments to increase the opportunity which this area develops and has abundant of both electrons and molecules. So we can actually bring the renewable energy in a way and present it to the global and strategically place ourselves as Central Asia, which can be the future hub, providing that support and the transition, which is equally important. And I think what from Aqua Power perspective, we are in 30 countries. We are operating over 90 assets and a huge amount of our aspiration by 2030. Our goal is to triple ourselves, and this region we see has a great potential. The reason for that probably, in no doubts, and as our chairman, Mr. Abu Nayan, always suggests, that the Vision 2030, which is trickling down from the top, the president himself is leading that vision, and it has a parallel with the Saudi Arabia's 2030 vision. We see quite a lot of parallels, and gives us confidence also. But that vision is not only is the start, but then the amount of reforms which are happening, the support which we are getting here from the Ministry of Energy, from Ministry of Investments, and all the DFIs who are excited about this area, who has a huge amount of potential, is giving us that we have already $14 billion investments all across in wind, in solar, in storage, and across Uzbekistan, and then similarly we are moving towards Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan. So from our perspective, the future projects as a private investor, we think that there is a will which is there, and I think that is a key part. When you're bringing all different parties which have different trade-offs between their interests, we're trying to find balances, but they all have to have a dialogue, find a equity within there so that they can all have the interest. And they are always complex. These are complex issues. These are not easy issues. Every country has its own view about energy security. They have own views about how we are going to be part of this growth transition. And I think that's where companies like Aqua can be very instrumental, because we are present in all those countries. And we listen, we hear to the government, and we can bring those perspectives to all interested parties. For us, it's impact which drives us. And this part of the world, I think we have a huge opportunity to bring that impact. The best practices, when we look into that in connectivity, I think the reality starts with the best practice is to start talking about it. Bringing those ideas which are scattered at times. We work in different countries, DFIs have different projects, and we all try to bring those understandings, and we can actually craft. So opportunities are, as we say, are crafted and then cultivated in a way that they grow over a period of time. They are always there, but it's up to us to grab them and try to refine them and going forward. And institutions like AIIB, they are the ones who can actually push this dialogue between all the countries, bring them to a framework, and companies like Aqua will be more than happy to contribute and bring our opportunities which we see to invest in as well as to produce. But from a very it's not only about the cost and how we go about developing a project which is bankable, but also to think about the impact for the future. And it's always, future is always very difficult to believe, to see, because we can't see it. But having that belief that this region has a huge potential, and companies like Aqua and others, Mazdars and others, who are actually investing and are being fully present here, and the support which we get from all the governments, specifically from the Uzbekistan, I can talk a lot more about it, that it's not only about execution is the key, and that's where we get support all the time from everybody throughout the chain. It's not just that, and I think somehow when I meet personally, I feel a lot of people, ministries themselves and ministries, they see it as setting the legacy. And I like about that. There is a passion that yes, this region has its potential, but now it's our time to tap into it and bring it to the global front. And I think we, as Aqua, we are very humble and proud to be in this part of the world.
Thank you, Dr. John. Before I come back towards this side of our panel, I wanted to stay with you and ask about a little bit more about the private sector. You are the head for Uzbekistan, but earlier we talked, you're in Kazakhstan, you've been all over this world through your life and through your experiences. And I really want to ask you, if you had a magic wand, what would you wish that a government or international financial institution would actually do? What can they do to enhance and facilitate private investment in cross-border infrastructure, including in energy transition, that specific part of this world of energy, and also encouraging renewables? Sometimes it's government or a policy change that needs to be done. Is there something that you've seen as a best practice that you think that would work well also in this region of the world?
Yeah, I think the first where we start always is to understand the culture. And I think that is where the history tells us quite a lot. But also, history is about studying change, not just what happened. And I think that is where we can tap into that there is a common cultural aspect, which is already very good. We have a language, we have a history, we had a background, which can help us create. There is already an infrastructure, although yes, it's old, it needs a huge amount of investment and to cater the needs. But I think we already have a good foundation to start with. But then across the world, and I think with institutions which are involved here, we already have templates, either coming from Europe, either coming from other, even from South America and all. You can find where the cross-border connectivities they already have done, and they have seen the challenges. So I think we can actually tap into those experiences in best practices where equity is very important, the shares allocations are very important, the transparency is very important, and I think there is a listening aspect also, that there is a certain amount of because every country has its own economic growth goals. They have to cater the needs of their own people, and I think we need to be sensitive about that also. That these are important issues. They are something important, and there has to be a listening. But also the templates which have been provided in terms of regulatory reforms, in terms of bringing the market and the technology side of it also. And I think that's the unintended beautiful consequence of this kind of integration, is that it will bring innovation. Challenges are going to come, and people, I honestly believe in the creativity and innovation, that we will come up with solutions which are going to be not only sustainable, but also are going to be cheap and make it happen. And the scale itself has to be there. So I think we have to dream big, and AIIB and other institutions have to take that mentoring and role and hand-holding role at times to help us not to be scared to take on this bigger challenge, and help the governments also to take on those reforms, which at times may look painful, but in the long term they will provide a lot better sustainable economy for all their regions.
Thank you for that. In our earlier round of questions, it was Konstantin and then May, so we're going to do a little bit of reverse. So May, you will do all the talking, and then Konstantin will just fill in with a tidbit. I'd like us to look a little bit internally now. So we talked about trends we see out there, the challenges and opportunities out there, but as you think about your own two organizations, what are the kind of the lessons learned internally? Specifically, what challenges have each of your organizations experienced when exploring those opportunities you talked about earlier? And what innovations and lessons learned can you share from, again, how your own organizations have successfully overcome the challenges of cross-border infrastructure, including steps forward on innovative partnerships and resource mobilization. So here the key point is, from all those other MDBs out there wanting to learn from both of you, how did you overcome some of the own challenges you faced in trying to get countries and cross-border projects to move forward?
Yeah, so copy, I will say all the talking. Okay, let me just, maybe I will not go into the challenges as such, but I will talk about what the Islamic Development Bank is doing to overcome challenges working with countries on cross-border connectivity. So I would focus on two main things. One is to have dedicated resources and programs for regional cooperation and integration. And with that, in the Islamic Development Bank, we have like 3 dedicated programs looking into regional integration. I'll have their full names, I will say them. So there is a technical assistance program for regional and global integration in trade. We have investment promotion technical assistance program, AIIB, and we have the regional cooperation and integration grant program, and each one of those target our member countries, including Central Asia, and targeting different dimensions when it comes to regional cooperation and integration, including cross-border connectivity. And it works on the softer side, whereby you are helping with regulatory reforms, you are helping with the barriers that you face in terms of capacity of developing bankable projects, and in terms of developing and implementing these projects. So having dedicated regional cooperation programs and resources in the institution is one of the lessons learned for us and good practices that we think others can benefit from. The second one has to do with having innovative partnerships. So as you know, there is cross-border connectivity projects or regional cooperation projects. They require a lot of investment, so it cannot be done by one partner. So we work through PPPs, of course, public-private partnerships, working with the private sector. As ISDB group, we have a private sector development arm, so they are also working on these areas. And also we have insurance arm that is helping the private sector to engage in risky interventions and projects and investments. And of course, the multi-country or cross-border investment is a bit of high risk for private sector. The last one that I want to mention is the work that we do with the Arab Coordination Group. So we are members of the Arab Coordination Group, so we join hands together as part of one platform to support our member countries, especially in Central Asia, but other member countries of the ISDB, and also our recent work with MCDF and AIIB on Central Asia connectivity is something that we do. So to avoid the challenge of duplicating efforts of development partners, so we're working together with other MDBs based on our comparative advantages, and also through the Arab Coordination Group mechanism, which ensures harmonization of efforts and ensures that we put our resources together to the benefit of our member countries. Last point I want to share is in the Islamic Development Bank, we have a South-South cooperation modality that we use, and this helps on the capacity development side. So if a member country requires certain knowledge and expertise in the area related to the way they manage projects, or for such border particular issues, or whatever regional related matters, we help them with this mechanism whereby we transfer the knowledge and expertise from one country to another, and also technology. And this is the recent program we have launched, which is the Technology Deployment Cooperation Program. Thank you.
Thank you. The power of technology, I think, continues to play out as I deal with a lot of MDBs, and they're all trying to figure out, just like they're barring nations, how do we use technology to make this knowledge sharing, capacity building even more impactful? Mr. Vice President Constantine, your thoughts from the AIIB.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I'm left with nothing to say, but it's really comprehensive. Thank you very much. Therefore, I will have to return back and repeat something. Right? So And I would start with indeed confirming that one of the major challenges, which I think, starting from ranking them now, I would say that the capacity of our clients, and sometimes our capacity as well, to help them. So it's both ways. And just to refer to the practice in the region that any large-scale investment is taking longer than you originally planned. And I think that it's really very important to have the partners around you with the different angles, different perspectives. And I would like to praise our cooperation with the MCDF and Islamic Development Bank on finding this possibilities for helping the clients together. It is important for us to have this means for facilitation and helping our clients. Over the course of our existence, we provided our borrowers and clients with $33 million in support. It is a big number, $33 million. $33 million overall, but it is actually not sufficient, obviously. In our cooperation throughout the existence of MCDF, we are a little bit older, but 9 years. We are very grateful for having $10 million, around $10 million, I think, for a variety of projects. Connectivity, specifically connectivity, most of that, I would say 85% for connectivity. This is really helping. And it's good also to mention that sometimes our low-income countries, of course, are struggling with even with the concessional terms which we have in the sovereign window. And we need to find the creative solutions and the blended finance. And I would like to also mention just a few minutes ago, we signed the agreement for support of our Karakalpakstan and Khwarezm water projects here in Uzbekistan, together with our partners from SECO. And it was the first, one of the first instances where we're having the project-specific investment from the partner. Right? So it's not a trust fund or technical assistance through the trust fund. It is the bilateral institution looking at our projects which we are doing and supporting our client, requiring capacity building and project preparation. We need to find a creative solution in that respect. In this part of the world is absolutely critical. So many thanks for cooperation, MCDF. I'm very sorry for not mentioning our study. I should have said it to both Islamic Development Bank and the MCDF. It is also important for us to be practical in our studies. And I'm very happy that the connectivity study which we launched would really be focused on the practicalities and on those measures, both soft and hard measures, which our partner institutions and AIIB as well can take to help these countries to cooperate with each other and with the external world. So these are my additions about the challenges which we are facing in pursuing the opportunities. So more blended finance, more cooperation with among the partners. But lastly, I wanted to also to mention that it's interesting that over the course of our existence at AIIB, we managed to truly mobilize private sector in the proportion of for each for each dollar we mobilize 20 cents. I think that I heard somewhere the statistics that for IFC it is roughly 1 to 1, or it's overall for the World Bank Group. So in order to really address the challenges which in connectivity which this region is facing and any other, we need to increase it, of course, and I would love to see it going to $2-3 for each hour dollar, and mobilizing private sector into the infrastructure space and connectivity space is the true challenge. But that's what we must do. That would make the difference. So I think that it's also one of the lessons. Thank you.
No, thank you. To bring us to a close, I actually want to come back to how we began by a focus on the countries, the people, the MDBs are here to help. Deputy Minister Tatikov, as you think about there's the will to help. You know, we got the private sector, we got the MDBs, they're there to help. But is it working? You know, how is it going? Let me ask you, how is your own country, here with landlocked Central Asia, how is your own country doing mobilizing these stakeholders, the IFIs, the international financial institutions, the banking sector, and clearly the private sector specifically? How is your country doing in raising financing for cross-border infrastructure and addressing some of the challenges we identified earlier?
Hello. Okay, this is very important to work with International Financial Organization for the Kyrgyz Republic. Actually, we were working all of this, especially with World Bank, Islamic Development Bank, Asian Development Bank, AIIB, and EBRD. All of these institutions, every time to assistance of the Kyrgyz Republic. Actually, what I noticed, some of the donors, they have some, because Kyrgyzstan is IDA countries. That's why we get concessional loan. But sometimes, what I noticed, we have some limitation in our budget. I mean, about to attract this loan, but they have not Central Asia, like regional some fund, and they give us, if you have some regional fund, we provided additional some funding for any projects. But I mentioned in regional our projects is mega project is one Kambarata 1. The second is this railway, China, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and the third is this is CASA 1000. Of course, 1000 World Bank and Islamic Development is implementing this project together because we attracted this money, and we have ADB is provided another project, one of the construction of the road between Almaty and Isykyul. And what I wanted to say about Kambarata 1, because for example, when we have already financed by Republic budget for construction of this Kambarata 1, but World Bank confirmed that they provided for the construction of Kambarata 1 500 million. 500 million. Of course, we have already met with other financial organizations. They interested in this project. Of course, private company too. And we believe that this is together with, because this is project not just implemented by Kyrgyz Republic. This is like a regional project because of course, we don't have some gas or oil, like, for example, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, but we produce gold. And the second, we have a lot of water resources, and this is one of the opportunity for the Kyrgyz Republic to sell electricity through the Kasa 1000 for Pakistan, Afghanistan, and other route. Yes, that's why without our financial international organization, we couldn't in 21st century work. We are ready every time. If you have some question, I'm ready to answer.
Just, I think to come to a close, I remember earlier when we were talking, you had talked about things are moving forward. There is collaboration with the international financial institutions. There's collaboration with the banking sector. Was there anything specifically you wanted to share and add on those examples of that cooperation?
Cooperation is one of the cooperation between, you mean about regional cooperation and integration.
That it is actually working.
Yeah, this is, of course, we have some Shanghai cooperation organization and, of course, CAREC, like Central Asia Regional Economic Cooperation. We, every time we support it and we follow these pillars, and such kind of cooperation, of course, is effective for our economic situation.
No, thank you. I wanted to thank all of our panelists. The Vice President had an urgent meeting to attend to. But I think for me, I'm always like the optimist in the moderators. I mean, you think about all the moderators here. And I think that optimism is justified by the panel we had here together. So much when we talk about the challenges of our region, it's how do we get countries to work together? How do we get sectors to work together? How do we get the MDBs to work together? So that when you're on the board, it's like, can't you all like coordinate? Because it drives sometimes the borrowing nations crazy. But we're all here for the same reason, to help lift up countries, to improve the lives of people. And clearly that will happen with great country leadership, the involvement of the multilateral world, and of course, a private sector. So ladies and gentlemen, if you could all join me in giving a hand to our speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.